Rune World, Wild Boar Valley outside Maple Leaf Town. A Rune Master team of 3 men and 2 women is hunting this wild boar king with a height of more than 2 meters and a body size of more than 4 meters. Hurry up, stop it, it's rare for the Wild Boar Valley to spawn a wild boar king, don't let it run away, and if you take it down, you might be able to explode a premium quality rune. The girl at the head, wearing a red robe and holding a staff, was very excited to command the battle. It can be seen that their team should be a team that has been running in for a long time, and it is a tacit understanding of cooperation with each other. With their cooperation, this little boss was forced into a corner bit by bit. Seeing that the little boss was about to be taken down, that girl was a little impatient, so she was about to walk out of a safe distance. A fat boy beside her who made people feel very secure pulled her, "No, it's not safe now. It's fine. I can handle it." The girl insisted on doing her own thing. She shook off the boy and walked out of a safe distance, ready to give the Wild Boar King a fireball to take away. As a result, as soon as he walked out, a ground thorn emerged from the ground. Seeing that the girl was about to be stabbed away, a simple and honest figure bumped over, pushed the girl away, and was stabbed to death on the spot. The moment the figure was penetrated, the fat boy's face turned pale for a while, because the simple and honest figure was his rune summoning object. It died, and as a rune master, he would naturally suffer backlash. What bothered the boy more than the backlash was the dead summoned object. This was the summoned object that he had raised for 2 months, and it was basically abolished when he died. The only thing that made the boy a little relieved was that the girl was not injured and gave the final fatal blow. Boom! Under the fiery red fireball, the Wild Boar King was blown up. The dead rune beast burst out with 4 spots of light. 2 transparent ordinary quality light spots, 2 white premium quality light spots. Obviously, the Wild Boar King not only exploded, but also exploded. 2 high quality items exploded in one breath. It's worth it. Well, at this moment, not only the boy thought so, but his teammates also thought so. All the swarms rushed up to see what exploded. A normal quality yellow turban soldier summoning talisman, a normal wild boar crossbow and arrow magic talisman, and a high quality thorn spell talisman, as well as the materials for this high quality pig king heart. 1 boss and 2 high quality ones. I have to say that Sister Hong's hands are very red. That's right, don't even look at who my sister is. 4 people, each holding a light spot, their faces filled with joy of harvest. The boy leaned over with strength, and wanted to share the joy with his teammates. And before the boy came over, the girl in red looked at the time. "It's more than 9 o'clock, it's a little late, why don't you all get off, everyone, have a good rest, and discuss how to distribute these things tomorrow." "It is good." A few teammates nodded, and they didn't ask the boy's situation, let alone what the boy's opinion was. On the other hand, Sister Hong stopped and looked at the boy. "I almost forgot, Wu Wei, your summoned beast died just now, didn't you? One just happened to explode, this is for you, you should go to rest early and stop messing around." Said, the other party handed the ordinary light spot in his hand to the boy, and then summoned the Book of Runes and left the rune world with a single tap. In the blink of an eye, the boy was left alone in the entire Wild Boar Valley. It's not hard to see that Wu Wei's situation in this team is somewhat awkward. Of course, this is also the norm for rune summoners, or low-level rune summoners in the team. Although the high-level rune summoners are comparable to a team by themselves, the low-level rune summoners are quite stretched. Especially for a summoner like Wu Wei whose first source rune is the yellow turban soldier, the situation is even more embarrassing. The strength of the summoned beast is not very good, not to mention the summoner itself, which is basically a burden. 1 more rune summoner in the team is equivalent to 5 people and 1 dog. In this case, the situation of the rune summoner in the team is self-evident. Being rejected by his teammates, Wu Wei was somewhat frustrated. However, he quickly patted his face to cheer him up. "Don't worry about it, just work hard to become stronger. One day, they will impress me." Wu Wei is not someone who likes to complain. In his opinion, there are only two ways to solve this kind of problem, either leave the team or impress his teammates. It is impossible to leave the team with his current strength, so he has to work hard. Since he can't help his teammates in terms of strength, he should work hard elsewhere to make him an indispensable person for the team. It's only 9 o'clock, I'll resurrect a Huang, and then explore the surrounding environment before going down. Wu Wei said, crushing the ordinary light spot in his hand. With a click, a rune appeared in Wu Wei's hand. Wu Wei held the rune and summoned his own book of runes at the same time. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. The Book of Runes is something that all rune masters automatically awaken when they are 18 years old. It has two main functions, one is to let the rune master burn the original runes, and the other is to send the rune master into the world of runes. Wu Wei opened the Book of Runes and said it was a book, but there was only one page at the moment. There is also a rune inscribed on this page, which is very similar to the rune of the yellow turban soldiers in Wu Wei's hands, but more mysterious. In fact, the two runes are the same, but the rune on Wu Wei's Book of Runes is his original rune, and it has been upgraded to level 7, so it looks more mysterious than the rune in his hand. Wu Wei took the yellow turban soldier rune and pasted it on his original rune. For rune summoners like Wu Wei, there are several ways to deal with the death of the summoned object. The first is to spend time waiting for it to revive on its own. This takes a long time, and after resurrection, the strength will drop greatly. The original 7-level yellow turban soldiers may only be 2 or 3, or even less. And if you use the same rune to charge the source rune, it can be quickly resurrected, and the strength will not drop too much, only 1 or 2 levels at most. With the 2 yellow turban soldiers sticking together, the one in Wu Wei's hand was directly burned, turning it into a stream of energy and pouring it into the Book of Runes. In an instant, the runes in the Book of Runes brightened up, and Wu Wei, who had been attacked, felt much better. At the same time, a line of seemingly vague words jumped out in front of Wu Wei. Ding! Once the conditions are met. This is... Wu Wei widened his eyes to take a closer look, but the word had disappeared. Wu Wei was stunned for a moment, and subconsciously opened his attribute page. Name, Wu Wei. Age, 18 level 7 occupation, Rune Summoner. First source rune, Yellow Turban Soldier, level 5. Looking at this simple attribute board, Wu Wei's face was full of disappointment. I thought this golden finger took effect, but the attribute board still hasn't changed. The attribute board in front of him is Wu Wei's golden finger, something unique to him. At first, when he knew this, he was secretly happy for a long time, thinking that he was going to be a jerk. In the end, the reality quickly hit him in the head. He tried many methods but couldn't find the use of this golden finger. It seemed that this thing was useless except to look at it. This alone is enough. When Wu Wei contracted the first source rune, it also acted as a demon, so that Wu Wei chose Yellow Turban Soldier as the first source rune, and made Wu Wei a rune summoner. But after the contract, this thing started to pretend to be dead again. From a certain point of view, if Wu Wei is mixed up like this, he can throw the blame for this golden finger. However, Wu Wei is not the kind of person who complains about others. After all, he chose the path himself. No matter how difficult it is to walk, he will not complain. He will only try his best to walk his path. Although it just passed by in a flash, I'm sure it's not an illusion. There was indeed a system prompt just now, the conditions are met. Then the question is, once what conditions are met? Besides condition 1, what other conditions are there? All satisfied, what will happen? In addition, if I use the Yellow Turban Soldier summoning rune again, can it be triggered again? Wu Wei had a lot of thoughts in his mind, and he took out a paper and a pen, and put his thoughts on the paper by using ghosts to draw talismans. This is his way of thinking. Forget it, there's too little useful information, so don't worry about anything else for now, try to find a way to get a Yellow Turban Soldier summoning talisman. Now, let me do the things in front of me. After writing down and creating another yellow turban soldier summoning talisman, Wu Wei put this matter aside and continued with what he just hadn't completed. I saw Wu Wei raised his hand and summoned the yellow turban soldiers, and then began to carefully investigate the environment of the Wild Boar Valley. This is Wu Wei's habit. Every time their team arrives at a new monster spawning location, Wu Wei will investigate the environment of the monster spawning location. Collect all kinds of information such as terrain, resources, rune monsters, etc. to facilitate the team to spawn monsters. When his strength could not keep up with his teammates, Wu Wei could only use this method to improve his status in the team. Although the effect doesn't seem to be very good, and his teammates don't seem to care much about the information he collects, Wu Wei still does it every time. He is not trying to please his teammates, but to cultivate his own good habit of handling unfamiliar environments cautiously and keeping dangerous situations in his hands as much as possible. Don't fight unprepared battles. Before the troops and horses move, the intelligence goes first. Wu Wei thinks that it is an unbreakable reason to use it for monster spawning. And this, Wu Wei has been verified today. Hey, this place. After walking around the Wild Boar Valley, Wu Wei stopped at one place. He observed a place in front of him. There are several huge stones stacked on top of each other, a small gap that can accommodate one person to enter, and at the end of the gap is a space that can accommodate several people. Wu Wei feels that this place is quite good. If you hide in it, the ordinary wild boars in the Wild Boar Valley should not be able to attack. After all, ordinary wild boars do not have the skill Earth Thorn. Moreover, even if there is, Wu Wei feels that there is no need to be afraid, because Wu Wei observed it carefully, and the space inside is basically surrounded by stones, and only a small area is mud. You can use this place. This place can not only be used to farm monsters, but also be used as a camp. Well, make a note of the location and let them come over tomorrow to kill monsters. Wu Wei was very satisfied when he found this place, but he didn't stop exploring. He continued to take the yellow turban soldier Huang, carefully avoiding the wild boars in the Wild Boar Valley, and finished observing the environment of the entire valley. Whether this valley is big or small, it's almost 12 o'clock after Wu Wei finished his observation. After a long day of exhaustion, Wu Wei summoned the Book of Runes. With a single tap, the space in front of Wu Wei's eyes rippled like a mirror. Then, Wu Wei returned to his dormitory. Although I don't know how many times it's been, but for the ability of the Book of Runes to change the world, every time I experience Wu Wei, I feel incredible. After a little rest in the dormitory, Wu Wei, who had been busy all day, decided to go out to find something to eat to fill his stomach before going to bed. Not far from his dormitory is the cafeteria. In order to make it easier for students to return from the Rune World to eat, the school has specially placed the cafeteria not far from the dormitory building, and it is open 24 hours a day. Come to the dining hall. Wu Wei found that although it was the middle of the night, there were still a lot of people. Most of them were surrounded by 4 or 5 people, some with excitement on their faces, and some with grey expressions on their faces. Obviously, they were all teams from the Rune World. It is rare for a person like Wu Wei to come out to eat. After all, the Rune Masters who enter the Rune World are all active in small groups. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Wu Wei sighed softly, swiped his card and ordered a bowl of beef noodles. Holding the noodles, he was about to look around to find a place to eat when his body suddenly trembled slightly, and his eyes involuntarily focused on a table not far away. I saw that 4 of his teammates who said they would go offline for a rest after 9 o'clock were at that table at this time. Look at the leftovers on their table, and a few cases of beer. Obviously they have been here for a long time. It is estimated that they came together as soon as they got off the line. What Wu Wei can be sure of is that there are no calls or messages on his mobile phone after he goes offline. At the same time, on the side of Wu Wei's teammates, the girl named Sister Hong also happened to look up and see Wu Wei. Looking at each other, the scene is somewhat embarrassing. In the end, Wu Wei broke the embarrassment with a smile, nodded his head, and then grabbed the noodles and found a random corner to eat. When Wu Wei finished eating and looked up, his teammates had already left, and he didn't come to say hello before leaving. Wu Wei was silent for a while, and finally got up and turned back to the dormitory. Wu Wei, who returned to the dormitory, washed his face, then picked up a book on the 18,721 low-level rune monsters in the world of runes and read it. It was around 2 o'clock before Wu Wei lay down and went to sleep. The next day at 6:30, Wu Wei got up on time, went for a run, ate breakfast and then went to their team's activity room. When he came to the outdoor activity room, Wu Wei joined hands and was about to open the door when an electronic alert sounded. Ding! This is the activity room of the 8911 team. You are not a team member and you do not have permission to enter. Please do not break in casually. Hearing this electronic sound, Wu Wei's brows rose. Yahua Magic Academy, 8911 activity room. The 4 team members, except Wu Wei, who usually don't come before 9 o'clock, came to the activity room early today for the first time in history. One by one, they quietly waited for Wu Wei's arrival. Soon, Wu Wei's footsteps sounded, and at the same time the electronic warning sound also sounded. At this moment, Zhou Hong and the others all regained their energy. You said, what will he do next? Please, please, we can accept him. After all, he has such a sick mind, and the rune summoner who contracted Yellow Turban Soldiers has no other team to accept him except us. Of course there may be trouble. Whether it's begging or making trouble, we can't accept him anymore. Sister Hong, you have to stand firm. If he talks about his saving you yesterday, don't be soft-hearted. Don't worry, I'm measured. His strength was originally unable to keep up with us, and now the summoned beast has died once again, and his strength has dropped further, and now he can't keep up with our team at all, so I really can't keep him. As for saving me, it really doesn't count. I could have reacted even without the Yellow Turban Soldiers. Instead, it disrupted the rhythm of my attack, but no matter what, I have already compensated him. A Yellow Turban Soldier summoning talisman made up for his loss, and I don't owe him any more. Then we've agreed, we can't ask him any more. Zhou Hong, the 4 of them, after you negotiated word by word, pay attention to the situation outside the door, but found that there was no movement outside the door. Several people looked at each other, and then opened the door to see that all 4 were scared. One hop. I saw Wu Wei standing there quietly watching the 4 of them. The chubby face did not have the kind of honest smile they were familiar with before. It was very calm and unfamiliar to them. Suddenly seeing Wu Wei like this, Zhou Hong and the 4 were somewhat at a loss. But in the end, he still faced Wu Wei. Wu Wei, don't blame us, it's really because your summoned beasts are too weak to keep up with us, and you are too rubbish, we can't improve your strength by pulling you. Look at yesterday's battle, you didn't come in handy. That's right, and your personality doesn't match ours. It really doesn't make much sense for everyone to be together, so I'm really sorry, you can find out if there are other teams that want to accept you. Hearing his teammates' words, Wu Wei's mouth twitched. The strength is too weak? The battle is useless? The personalities do not match? Pulling you will make you unable to improve your strength. At this moment, Wu Wei said that Cao Nima really didn't know what to say. I admit that the strength is too weak, and I also admit that the personality is not suitable, but I really dare not admit the remaining 2. Fighting is useless? This is also because your level has been raised recently, so my Yellow Turban Soldiers can't be used as meat shields, right? In our previous battle, wasn't a Huang Ding in the front? We suffered the most vicious beatings and took the least experience and income, which ensured your growth. Oh, now that you have grown up, you think I am too weak? Not useful? Are you asking yourself this? Although a Huang can't be used as a meat shield now, it can play a role in containing, reconnaissance, and attracting enemy firepower in battles. How did the Wild Boar King find out yesterday, how it was forced into a corner bit by bit, and how Zhou Hong survived? You should know these things in your heart. So I really don't recognize this. As for myself, I know that I am a burden, so I have been working hard to improve environmental reconnaissance, tactical planning. These are all I am studying hard, and I think they have come in handy. Moreover, I have always been the one with the least distribution of spoils. With the least resources and the most things to do, I really didn't just hold you back. As for your lack of strength, you really can't blame me for this. When others enter the world of runes, they stay for several days. How about you? From 9 to 5, occasionally I work overtime at 9 o'clock in the evening, beat a little boss and drink a drink to celebrate. I don't usually see you honing your martial arts skills. Really, it's really not my problem that you don't improve your strength, it's that you are too unplanned for your own future. Listen to my advice, your character is really not suitable for being a rune master, it's better to go home and sell sweet potatoes. At least it's safe, and you don't have to worry about dying one day. Wu Wei's words were extremely harsh, and the expressions of the four of Zhou Hong changed greatly. They jumped up one by one like cats whose tails had been stepped on. Yes, that's it, that's how you are. He is obviously more useless than us, but every day he can't bear to look down on us from the bottom of his heart. Holding a few broken books every day, it looks like it's amazing. Who do you think you are to point fingers at us when you fight? You are just a garbage summoner who made a contract with the yellow turban soldier. You work hard, you are lofty, you still rely on us. Without us, you wouldn't even dare to enter the rune world. In fact, the biggest core conflict between Wu Wei and this team is not strength. But it lies in the attitudes of both parties towards the profession of rune master. Wu Wei belongs to the kind of people who do their best to become stronger and are willing to work hard to become stronger, while Zhou Hong and the others belong to the kind of people who just get by and hit the clock when they are monks. It just so happens that they still think that they have worked very hard, but they are unlucky. Their talents and backgrounds are not comparable to others, and if they are given resources, they can surpass those so-called geniuses in minutes. It can be said that they are two completely different people. How can such people get along? If Wu Wei is stronger, they may admire Wu Wei, but Wu Wei's strength is there, so in their opinion Wu Wei's efforts it's just that the heart is higher than the sky and the life is thinner than the paper. In this way, such a result is also predictable. Looking at the jumping teammates in front of him, Wu Wei was really annoyed. Okay, I don't want to and I don't have the time to quarrel with you. Fire me, right? Okay, give me compensation for my dismissal, and share the spoils of yesterday. Yesterday I was still a member of the team, don't try to hack my stuff. No, we're not so mean, take your things and get out of here. As the captain, Zhou Hong immediately threw a backpack to Wu Wei. Wu Wei raised his hand and took it. He opened it and saw that there was a light spot of a transparent color, with rough crafted crossbow arrows floating on it, and a stack of transparent runes. Wu Wei did a rough calculation, and after confirming that the value of the things was what the loot should have been distributed yesterday, Wu Wei didn't talk nonsense, turned his backpack around and left. After taking 2 steps, Wu Wei stopped and tilted his head slightly, although it wasn't very pleasant to get along for the past 2 months, after all, we spent 2 months together, and thank you for these 2 months. Take care of. Also, I still want to say some advice. You don't pay attention to the environment every time you fight. This problem is very bad. I always paid attention when I was there before. After I leave, I hope you can pay attention to it. After speaking, Wu Wei walked away without waiting for Zhou Hong and the others to reply. 4 former teammates who were disdainful of his words were left behind. 2 chapters will be updated every night at 1800 hours. Come out from the activity room of the 8911 team. Wu Wei's mood is still quite low. It's not how much he can't leave the team, it's that he feels that he has failed somewhat. He felt that if he was stronger and worked harder, maybe he wouldn't end up being swept out of the house today. In the face of failure, some people will feel that it is not their own fault, but the whole world. There are also people like Wu Wei who feel that it is their own fault that such a thing could not be avoided. If you dig deeper, you will find that he has a very conceited mentality. He is conceited that he can do everything well, and everything he fails to do well is due to his failure to work hard. Whether this attitude is good or bad is not judged. But one thing is certain, Wu Wei, who has such a mentality, cheers up quite fast. He wouldn't let himself be immersed in this kind of lost emotion forever, and patted himself on the face, "Get up, I need to think about what I need to do next." Wu Wei, who lost his team. Now he has to face a reality, that is, how should he struggle in the world of runes? The rune world is extremely important to the rune master, and the resources for the rune master to grow basically come from the rune world. And the rune world is not an online game world. That world is full of opportunities, but it is also full of dangers. Every year, a large number of rune masters die in the rune world. It is not easy to survive in the rune world. Therefore, rune masters usually have to team up to take care of each other, just like Wu Wei did before. But he's been kicked out of the team now, and what's worse is his current conditions, it's not easy to find a new team. Even if he finds it, Wu Wei can't guarantee that what happened today will not happen again. He really doesn't want to be swept out of the house again. And when Wu Wei had a headache, he suddenly thought of the place he explored in the Wild Boar Valley last night. Suddenly, a bold idea was born in his mind. Since no team is willing to accept me, then I will try to enter the rune world by myself. Wu Wei is a very decisive person. After making a decision, he never hesitated. However, he didn't immediately take out the Book of Runes and directly enter the world of runes, which was a bit too reckless. Entering the rune world, especially entering the rune world alone for adventure, is something that needs to be prepared. The first preparation Wu Wei made was to buy a batch of supplies. Water, dry food, sleeping bags, rune flints are the most basic things to bring, especially sleeping bags and rune flints. In the past, Zhou Hong and the others did not need to bring them for 9 to 5, but now it is impossible for him to go in alone. It came out in a day, so the preparation still needs to be prepared. These things are specially sold in schools, and Wu Wei basically buys them all when he goes to the supermarket. After buying all the things, Wu Wei took out the transparent light spot on Zhou Hong's quilt. After opening it, a rough crossbow appeared in Wu Wei's hand. Magic rune, boar crossbow, magic weapon quality, ordinary equipment level, level 9 equipment requirements, none equipment effect, every 20 minutes can shoot a wild boar arrow, the attack power is equivalent to the ordinary blow of the wild boar king. How to say this crossbow, the rate of fire is extremely slow, and the attack power is not very strong, it can only be said that it is a very ordinary thing. But Wu Wei is very precious. After all, this thing can bring him a certain amount of combat power. What makes Wu Wei even more satisfied is that there is no equipment requirement for this thing, and Wu Wei can use it right away. With it, I'll be able to go smoother in the future, but it's not enough just to have it, I have to get something else. Speaking of which, Wu Wei's eyes fell on the 10 transparent runes. Those 10 transparent runes are actually the currency of the rune world, called spiritual talismans. In the real world, one magical rune is roughly equivalent to 10,000 yuan, and 10 magical runes are 100,000 yuan. It looks like a lot. But for rune masters, this is really not much. Wu Wei came to the back of the school dormitory with 10 magic runes. Behind the school dormitory building is a trading market, where students are setting up stalls everywhere. As soon as Wu Wei came here, he immediately felt a different atmosphere from other places in the school. Big sale, level 10 rune equipment is on sale, each piece is only 50 charms, don't miss it. Selling spirit pills, the first order Ling Fu pill was made by the young lady of the 3rd level medicinal herb department, and each pill only needs 5 spirit talismans. Open the blind box, open the blind box, from the perfect legendary quality, down to the ordinary runes, as long as you are lucky, 10 magic runes can be brought home. What are you waiting for? You can't buy 10 magic charms, you can't afford to buy them, and you can't be fooled. Why don't you hurry up and bring home the perfect magic symbols? This kind of selling makes the atmosphere of the trading market stronger. Every time Wu Wei came in, he would watch people open blind boxes at the small booth at the door for a while, but he never opened it himself. People are born with the gene for gambling, but some people can control it, and some people can't. Wu Wei is the type that can be controlled, but why does he have such a good quality? Well, that's because of poverty. Before today, he only had 6 magic talismans in all his possessions, and although he had 16 magic talismans today, he did not try to get rich overnight. Because he couldn't bear the cost of losing 10 magic talismans. After striding over the blind box stall in front of him, Wu Wei quickly walked to the deepest stall in the trading market. This stall is set up by a man shrouded in a black cloak. Yu reading www.yuuganshu.com. A person who looks very mysterious. The things on the stall are basically medicine pills. Wu Wei stopped in front of this stall. The stall owner saw that Wu Weizhu was standing still, so he took out a sign with the words on it. What would you like? Lingfu Dan. Give me one. The man in Hippo took back the sign, and wanted to write Lingfu pill not only for sale. Wu Wei didn't speak right away. When the man in black robe was almost finished, he said, I want one. The man in black robe paused when he wrote, then erased the words on the sign, and then wrote 5 talismans. Before she finished writing, Wu Wei bargained with her again, I only have 4 magic talismans. The pen in the black-cropped man's hand paused, and his body trembled. Wu Wei added, I won't leave if you don't sell it. The man in Hippo paused and hesitated for a while, then took out a bottle of Lingfu Dan, poured one out and handed it to Wu Wei. Thanks. Wu Wei took the talisman pill and handed over 5 talismans. The man in black robe paused, took the sign and was about to write. You didn't say there were only 4. I thought there were only 4, but when I found out there were 5, I gave you all. Hippo paused, erased half of what he had written, then picked up the pen and wrote down 5 words solemnly, You are a good person. Wu Wei grinned, and Tuqian Dajian pointed to the bottle of black elixir beside him, Thank you, is this thing of yours still useful? If it doesn't work, can you give it to me? 2 minutes later, Wu Wei left contentedly holding the dark bottle, then went to the cafeteria to buy a dozen dishes and packed them, then returned to the dormitory and took out the Book of Runes. Rune World, Wild Boar Valley outside Maple Leaf Town. Wu Wei, who was fully prepared, returned to this place again. He appeared in the position where Zhou Hong and the others pushed the Wild Boar King yesterday. After coming up, Wu Wei immediately looked around, but he didn't see anyone, and there was no trace of anyone moving. Obviously, his 4 teammates, no, it should be said that the 4 former teammates did not come online today. Wu Wei was not surprised by this. With their personalities, they must sell the 2 premium quality runes today, split the money, be more dashing, and come up with a new set of equipment. Alas, I knew that they would be kicked out of the team today, so I should have set the online point directly there yesterday, so that I would not have to run over there. After a light sigh, Wu Wei carefully concealed himself, and then started to summon a Huang. With a Huang, they headed towards the spot they discovered last night. Due to the fact that 1 night has passed, the rune bore that was cleared yesterday was refreshed, and there were many monsters. It took Wu Wei a lot of effort to find that position. After reaching the goal, Wu Wei drilled into the space through the gap, then reached out and summoned the Book of Runes, and began to take out the jar of medicinal dregs from the trading market from the Book of Runes, and food from the canteen. Well, the Book of Runes also has a storage function. However, the level 8 rune book has a relatively small space, only the size of a normal refrigerator. It was stuffed full by Wu Wei, and it took a lot of effort to get the things out. After getting it out, Wu Wei first put on a mask and gloves for himself, and then carefully opened the jar of medicinal dregs to come out a little. While pouring Wu Wei, he looked at the properties of these dregs. Item: dregs quality, ordinary description, it failed as a spirit medicine, but as a poison, it barely passed the test. After taking it, it would cause diarrhea, dizziness, soreness, and weakness of the limbs. It is suitable for existences below level 10 with relatively low poison resistance. Well, this is why Wu Wei asked the man in black robe to take it. Wu Wei usually likes to go to the trading market when he has nothing to do. He accidentally found this thing on the stall of the man in black robe. At that time, Wu Wei felt that this thing could be used to fight monsters. It can be said that Wu Wei wanted to attack others a long time ago, but he didn't dare to go there before. After all, the aura of the man in black robe seemed to be quite powerful. But Wu Wei didn't dare to go up, not because he was afraid of being beaten, but mainly because he was afraid of hearing a price he couldn't afford. Later, under observation, it was discovered that the man in black robe actually looked mysterious and powerful, but he was actually a socially fearful fool. Coupled with being fired from the team, Wu Wei went straight to A, but he didn't expect it to go smoothly. Brother Hipporan, whether I can rise or not depends entirely on your medicine. You must bless me that it will take effect on the rune boar. If it succeeds, I will repay you when I go back. Wu Wei first bowed in the air, and then mixed the medicinal dregs into the delicious dishes. Then, Wu Wei asked the yellow turban soldier Ah Huang to take over the dishes, and swaggered out of the gap. Wu Wei's plan is very simple, that is, let Ah Huang lure the monsters over, and then feed the vegetables to others, and when the effect of the medicine strikes, Wu Wei will take action to deal with him. Simple and straightforward. But when it comes to fighting monsters, it's better to be simple and direct. The plan is still going well. After Ah Huang walked out of the gap, he began to scream. Although, as a summoned creature of ordinary quality, Ah Huang's IQ is about the same, and he can't speak, but he can still summon. And its call quickly attracted the attention of a rune boar nearby. Soon, this meter was 1.5 meters long and weighed nearly 300 jins. The handsome rune wild boar with a rune engraved on its head rushed towards Ah Huang. This thing's IQ is similar to Ah Huang, but it's extremely fierce. His eyes turned red, his head dropped, and he rammed directly towards Ah Huang. The speed is very fast, Ah Huang must not be able to dodge in time, but fortunately there is Wu Wei who is always ready. As soon as the wild boar bumped into it, it was photographed on the Book of Runes for the first time. Receive. After Wu Wei shouted, Ah Huang Hua made a rune and returned to the Book of Runes. The rune boar, which didn't react, crashed into the air and hit a 1-meter stone. That dull force was like the sound of a watermelon being smashed. The blood came out at that time, and the rune boar swayed and fell down with a pop. This scene made Wu Wei bewildered. This pig is so silly. Wu Wei felt that there was no need for any medicinal residues, it was already dying. Ah Huang. Wu Wei hurriedly got started and summoned Ah Huang again, asking Ah Huang to carefully hold the stone over to kill this silly pig. After a slamming hammer, the rune boar exploded. The rune wild boar that exploded gave birth to a ray of light that poured into Ah Huang's body. This was the first time Ah Huang had the experience of having a rune boar exclusively, and it immediately made Ah Huang drop to level 5 and closer to level 6. Huang has risen to level 6. At the same time, a line of font appeared in front of Wu Wei's eyes again. 1/100. This line of words disappeared in a flash, but Wu Wei still noticed it. Wu Wei narrowed his eyes. Does this mean that killing 100 rune boars is the same as the previous yellow turban rune, and Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com is also one of the conditions? What will happen if this condition is fulfilled? There is still no answer, but this time Wu Wei is not in a hurry. As long as he eliminates 100 rune wild boars, or independently solves 100 rune wild boars, Wu Wei will know what will happen sooner or later. The rune boar that was solved without using the dregs, and the sudden appearance of the word made Wu Wei very motivated. Continue. Wu Wei quickly started the second wave of fishing. This time, Wu Wei also adjusted his tactics and added the pig into the wall, hoping to harvest the rune boar happily. But the second wave was not as smooth as the first. Ah Huang called for a long time before he led the rune wild boar over, but he did, but this time it wasn't one, but a group of them. 6 or 7 rune boars of level 7 or 8 came together, and Wu Wei hurriedly put away Ah Huang. This wave of Wu Wei didn't have any results, and he also lost a dish that had just fallen to the ground. After Ah Huang was put away, the group of rune wild boars swaggered away after eating the dishes on the ground. During the whole process, Wu Wei didn't dare to do anything at all. For fear of accidentally attracting the attention of that group of pigs and surrounding him. Although his environment is quite safe, Wu Wei also doesn't want to experience the feeling of being surrounded by rune boars. So I can only watch the rune boar leave. After this wave of failures, Wu Wei decided to upgrade his tactics again. Instead of continuing to hunt wild boars, he started digging holes. Thank you Blood West Jintagwan and Bu Shui Worth is a trumpet for your support. Wu Wei and Ah Huang spent almost an hour digging a trap about 2 meters in diameter and 3 sides deep. And laboriously moved a circle of stones to surround the side of the trap. After 2 hours of tossing and preparation, Wu Wei continued to hunt. This time, Wu Wei behaved well and did not dare to let Ah Huang shout again, for fear that he would accidentally call a large group of wild boars. Instead, first observe the surrounding environment and choose a target. It is not a solo event, or the rune boar that is alone will never be provoked. Once you find the rune boar left alone, don't provoke it casually, but first make some noise, guide the rune boar to a suitable position bit by bit, and then use the stone attack to provoke the rune boar. With this method, Wu Wei's hunting was finally on the right track. In the next 5 or 6 hours, Wu Wei and Ah Huang attracted 8 rune boars. Although not all were killed, but 6 were killed, the success rate is still quite high. And the sacrifice of these 6 rune boars also brought Ah Huang back to level 7. 2 levels in a row in one day, this was something Wu Wei had never seen when he followed Zhou Hong and the others. This kind of efficiency made Wu Wei feel like he was dreaming. The only thing that made Wu Wei a little uncomfortable was that the explosion rate of these rune wild boars was too low. In addition, these 6 Wu Wei had killed 7 of them, and they didn't reveal even a single thing. It's already dark, and the rune boar has begun to perch. I've been tossing around for a whole day, and it's time to rest. I finally get another one, and I'll rest if I get rid of this one. Wu Wei said. He came out of the gap again, and took Ah Huang to carefully investigate the surrounding environment. Soon, Wu Wei locked a target again. It was a rune boar alone, arching the earth not far away. What is the size of this pig? Wu Wei felt that there was something wrong with its size. It was much bigger than the average wild boar, but it was smaller than the wild boar king Wu Wei fought with Zhou Hong and the others before. It's bigger than ordinary monsters and smaller than bosses. Is this an elite monster among rune boars? Thinking like this, Wu Wei couldn't help but narrow his eyes. When Wu Wei squinted at the target, his useless golden finger had a certain probability of being able to see the target's attributes. Wu Wei doesn't know what the principle is, but this method is quite effective. His eyes narrowed, and after a while he saw the attributes of the rune boar opposite. Name: robust rune boar. Quality: light white, high quality, inferior, level 9. Skill: wild boar crash. It's out of attributes, it's really an elite monster. Seeing this attribute, Wu Wei raised his brows. At this time, a question was placed in front of Wu Wei. The opponent was an elite monster, so would he still do it this time? After all, it is an elite monster, and the success rate of winning it will be much worse than that of the ordinary rune boar, otherwise. Having said this, Wu Wei paused for a while, then clenched his teeth. After a while, it's dry, it might become something that can burst into high quality, and if it fails, it's just a loss of a dish. After making this decision, Wu Wei cautiously stepped back. After retreating to a safe position, he took out the medicinal dregs of Hipporin and the remaining 3-point dishes. After mixing the medicinal dregs and dishes, Wu Wei put the 2 dishes in the place he dug up, the bottom of a trap, and the rest is left on the body. After getting ready, Wu Wei hid at the edge of the gap, and then began to control Ah Huang to seduce the elite monster bit by bit. Wu Wei has done the same thing more than a dozen times that day, and he is already familiar with it. The elite monsters were successfully seduced in the direction of the trap. As long as you walk a few meters, you can enter the ambush distance of Wu Wei and the others. However, at this moment something unexpected happened. A rune boar suddenly wandered into Wu Wei's ambush circle, and also saw Ah Huang. Not good. Wu Wei's expression changed. It feels like things are going bad. Sure enough, after seeing Ah Huang, the rune boar that suddenly appeared, his eyes instantly turned red, and he rushed over without saying a word. Smash it! Run to the trap after smashing it! In the face of such a sudden situation, although his face changed greatly, he still made a decision in an instant. Under Wu Wei's order, Ah Huang smashed the stone in his hand at the elite monster, and then turned around and ran in the direction of the trap regardless of whether it hit or not. As for the elite monsters, Ah Huang's head was average. He didn't hit the elite monsters, but he also hit the elite monsters, and that was enough. The rune boar itself is the master of temper, and it can hit you at a glance, let alone provoke it with a stone. In an instant, the elite monster's eyes also turned red, his nostrils spewed out air, and he directly activated the skill Wild Boar Crash. Needless to say, the speed is terrifyingly fast. The last one came first, and soon came to Ah Huang's back. Coincidentally, another rune also rushed over and accidentally stopped in front of this elite monster. This elite monster was used to it and smashed the ordinary rune Wild Boar out and smashed it on Huang's body. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Ah Huang was directly knocked several meters away. Wu Wei's face changed greatly, he didn't dare to let Ah Huang die again. Receive. He urged the Book of Runes to put Ah Huang away, and Ah Huang turned into a streamer and returned to Wu Wei's Book of Runes. And this also exposed Wu Wei, that elite monster came directly at Wu Wei. Wu Wei raised the wild boar crossbow in his hand and wanted to shoot, but he hesitated and finally failed to shoot. There is no way, the opponent's speed is too fast. Although Wu Wei has been trained in crossbow arrows, his skills are not very good. He dare not bet that he will hit it. So Wu Wei put away the crossbow and hid in the stone. Boom! Just as Wu Wei hid inside, the wild boar was about to bump into it. The impact was heavy, but it didn't do anything to Wu Wei. After all, each of those stones weighed tens of thousands of pounds, so they were so easy to bump. But to Wu Wei's disappointment, there is nothing wrong with this elite monster. Apparently it's working hard. It's not like the first silly wild boar knocked himself out of a bad way. At the same time Wu Wei was disappointed, he smashed the only dish left in his hand and smashed it on the face of this elite monster. The elite monster was stunned for a moment, and then he felt that the thing that fell on his face was very fragrant. He licked it and found that it tasted good, so the elite monster with no brain capacity ate all the dishes scattered for the first time. After eating, the brain seeds still looked into the gap as if to see if there was anything left. And it just came over. Wu Wei, who was already prepared, pulled the trigger of the crossbow arrow, and a crossbow arrow shot out and directly pierced the eye of this elite monster. Puchy with a dull sound, the crossbow arrow in Wu Wei's hand pierced through the eyes of the elite monster. The shrill scream resounded throughout the Wild Boar Valley. Then, this elite monster started going crazy. Crazy attacked the gap, trying to drag Wu Wei out and kill him. But the stone is too heavy, it can't be pulled at all, and the gap is too small, it is even more impossible for it to get in, so its madness can only affect its injury and make it more painful. And the more painful it is, the crazier it gets. Under this kind of madness, this elite monster tossed for more than 10 minutes, and finally collapsed in front of the gap because of the medicine he took. But Wu Wei was very cautious. Although the elite monster seemed to be dying, he didn't dare to go out, and he didn't even dare to let A Huang go out. Instead, he waited for a few more minutes, and waited for 20 minutes. Only then did Wu Wei summon A Huang, and then he picked up the crossbow again and gave the elite monster another shot. This arrow shot the elite monster directly. A sturdy energy entered A Huang's body, sending A Huang directly to level 8 in one go. At the same time, a line of small characters appeared in front of Wu Wei's eyes. 13/100. Obviously, one elite monster can top 5 ordinary rune boars. However, Wu Wei's focus at this time was not here. At this time, his eyes fell on the place where the elite monster died. There was a light spot floating in that place, and it was obviously shipped. Although it was not white but a transparent color, Wu Wei was still very excited and hurriedly directed A Huang to climb over and bring in the spot of light. Starting with a light point, a stream of information poured into Wu Wei's mind. Rune of Wild Boar Knife, Divine Soldier Rune. Wu Wei was both surprised and delighted, so he quickly crushed it. The next second, a 1.4 meter long, extremely rough long knife appeared in Wu Wei's hands. Rune Warrior, Boar Knife Quality, Ordinary Level, 9 Equipment Requirements, None Equipment Effect, comes with knives to kill a pig, it takes 3 seconds to activate, and there is no cooldown. Thanks for watching, please subscribe. Wu Wei spent the next few days in the Wild Boar Valley. This place is a monster spawning spot that Wu Wei and Zhou Hong discovered. Usually, there are not many people. Wu Wei stayed in the Wild Boar Valley for 5 days. During these 5 days, except for Zhou Hong, who was online, almost no one came. And the existence of Zhou Hong and the others has no effect on Wu Wei. Wu Wei didn't even have any Facetofus with them, mainly because Wu Wei adjusted his schedule after realizing that Zhou Hong and the others were online. Originally, after he got the wild boar knife, he practiced daytime hunting at night, but now he has changed to practice daytime hunting at night. Zhou Hong and the 4 stayed in the Wild Boar Valley for 2 days, but they didn't notice Wu Wei's existence. And they also stayed in the Wild Boar Valley for 2 days. On the 3rd day, they seemed to think that there was nothing to play in the Wild Boar Valley. After all, they had already won the boss, and they no longer liked this place, so they left the Wild Boar Valley and changed a map. At that time, Wu Wei couldn't understand why they didn't farm to level 10 in such a good place to spawn monsters, and then wait for the first level to switch places. But I couldn't understand, and Wu Wei didn't jump out to stop them. They take theirs, Wu Wei takes Wu Wei's own. After 5 days, Wu Wei's side can be said to have gained a lot. The first is hunting. On average, Wu Wei harvests 14 or 5 rune boars every day. In 5 days, Wu Wei killed a total of 76 rune boars, and a lot of things exploded. Except for the one wild boar knife that was less harvested on the first day, there were 2 or 3 light spots every day for the remaining days. But the light spots that burst out are basically made of materials, and all of them are parts of pigs. Wild boar ribs, wild boar kidneys, wild boar legs, wild boar kidneys. After 5 days, Wu Wei was almost able to make up a whole wild boar. The number of killing wild boars also came to 81/100. 81. A wild boar directly raised the levels of A Huang and Wu Wei. Since no one shared experience with Wu Wei, he has now reached level 10. As long as Wu Wei burns another source rune, he can immediately become a second-order rune summoner. Another more important gain is the gain from training. During these 5 days, Wu Wei started training whenever he had time. Originally, he could only slash 4 times at a time one knife to kill a pig, but now he can make 10 cuts at a time. Physical fitness has improved a lot, and Wu Wei has lost a lot of weight. Compared to A Huang, Wu Wei's improvement is nothing. 5 days ago, A Huang could only make 32 cuts at a time. Today, 5 days later, he has already made 108 cuts at one time. Wu Wei could feel that Ah Wang's chest muscles were obviously exaggerated. At the same time, for the 5,000 knives, Ah Wang has already cut out 4,788 knives. The reason why he was able to cut so many is because Wu Wei has not left the rune world in the past 5 days. There are many differences between the rune world and the real world, including the difference in aura. Wu Wei's real world is located in the Yuehua Rune Academy. The aura of the academy is much richer than ordinary places, but compared to the rune world, still dwarfed. In the real world, when Ah Wang was exhausted, it took Wu Wei 5 or 6 hours to recover him, but in the rune world Wu Wei only needed 2 or 3 hours. And Wu Wei basically let Ah Wang practice once every 2 or 3 hours. Only then can he make 4,788 knives in 5 days. Only then can his physical fitness be improved to this extent. But Wu Wei felt that such improvement was not enough. Today is the 6th day of Wu Wei's single brushing. The dry food and water he brought over have been almost consumed, and even some of the ingredients that he prepared have been consumed. If nothing else, he can only stay for another day at most before he has to go back to replenish supplies. Therefore, Wu Wei set a small goal for himself today. 5000/5000 yes, 5,000 strikes to kill a pig. Achieving this small goal, this single brush trip can be regarded as a relatively successful end. As for 100/100, Wu Wei decided to put it on next time. There is no way, he has used up all the supplies, and the medicinal residues are gone. Without the supplies, Wu Wei can't guarantee that it will be completed, so it is better to be safe. But sometimes planning this thing, it really can't keep up with the changes. Just when Wu Wei was about to go back after reaching 5,000/5,000, he suddenly saw a cocky figure slowly condensing outside the crack of the stone. It's a monster. Wu Wei was not surprised by this. But soon, Wu Wei was stunned. I saw that the silhouette of the figure brushed outside was getting bigger and bigger, and soon it exceeded 2 meters. Isn't this a boss? As soon as Wu Wei's words fell, the figure was completely formed. 2 meters tall, 4 meters long, with a mysterious rune on the top of his head, this thing is the wild boar king that Wu Wei killed before. This Nima. As soon as he saw that the wild boar king was drawn beside him, Wu Wei took out the book of runes without saying a word and clicked to return. Just kidding, with this thing, Wu Wei couldn't get out of the cracks at all. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Why are you staying if you don't go back? Eye to eye with this thing? In the real world, Yuehua College, in the dormitory building. Wu Wei just came back from the rune world scolding, and the phone in his dormitory rang immediately. I have to say that the ringing of the phone shocked Wu Wei. After all, he usually has relatively few social circles. Originally, Zhou Hong and the others were looking for him, but now he was kicked out of the team. Facing the sudden ringing of the phone, Wu Wei would not be able to react for a while. After being stunned for a while, Wu Wei picked up the phone. Hello? Who is it? Is it classmate Wu Wei? A girl's voice sounded over the phone. I'm a member of Yuehua College Yueminglu, my name is Lu Xiaoyu. Hearing this, Wu Wei was even more stunned. Yueminglu is equivalent to the law enforcement department of Yuehua College. It basically has nothing to do with Wu Wei's usual life. Why did he suddenly call him? Could it be that my routine, the little brother in black robe, has been exposed? Wu Wei was a little flustered for a moment. Seeing whether Wu Weizhu had responded, the other side asked, Student Wu Wei, are you listening? I'm listening, what's the matter? That's it, we want to know about some things about the 8911 team. It's not about the people in black robes. Wu Wei breathed a sigh of relief, but soon his brows furrowed again. Squad 8911? What happened to them? Sued me? No. On the other side of the phone came the words that made Wu Lian stand on the spot. They may be wiped out. Wu Wei talked with Lu Xiaoyu for 20 minutes. The other party learned more about the relationship between Wu Wei and Zhou Hong's team, and the reason why Wu Wei left the team. Also, to understand Wu Wei's movements these days, Lu Xiaoyu asked very detailed. This is not because it is suspected that Wu Wei caused Zhou Hong's team to destroy it, it is just a normal procedure that Yue Mingluo is going. Don't look at Wu Wei, this team seems to be quite miserable, and they don't mix well. They are the bottom of the school. But anyway, they are also rune masters. The Han Kingdom attaches great importance to rune masters. Every rune master must be recorded, and the fall of every rune master, whether it is a homicide or an accident, will be investigated by the Great Han Kingdom. Team destroyers like Zhou Hong's team are even more concerned. Minjiuilu, as the law enforcement agency of Yuehua College, they need to help Dahan officials investigate the materials that Dahan officials need. Asking Wu Wei to ask questions is just a normal procedure. When Wu Wei was facing this kind of questioning, he didn't take a sloppy look at the other party and explained how the two sides broke up. He explained everything he was doing in the past few days. Except for Goldfinger, the rest were not concealed, and even provided clues about when the 8911 team left the Wild Boar Valley and headed in that direction. And during Lu Xiaoyu's questioning, Wu Wei probably knew about Zhou Hong's group destruction. In fact, it can't be said that they will really be destroyed. It's just that the school suddenly received a call for help from the 8911 team. The call for help only lasted for more than 10 seconds before the call for help was interrupted. Then, the school couldn't contact the 8911 team. At this time, more than 10 hours have passed since the incident, and the members of the 8911 team have not returned, so Lu Xiaoyu said that they may have been destroyed. On Wu Wei's side, he was silent for a while after the investigation. To be honest, although the relationship with Zhou Hong is not very good. But after all, they had been in the team for 2 months, and they were considered acquaintances. Suddenly hearing that a few people they knew had died just like that, it still had some impact on Wu Wei. On Lu Xiaoyu's side, she seemed to hear that Wu Wei's mood was a little low, and comforted him, "You don't have to worry too much, they may not really be destroyed, after all, their strength is not more than 10. Level 10, coming back before level 10 is still very important." They were outside Maple Leaf Town, so there shouldn't be anything strange that could instantly kill everyone in their team. Therefore, the group may not be destroyed, it may be due to some special circumstances. Alright, thank you for your cooperation. In addition, I will also report to the school about your current solo flight status. I hope I can help you arrange other teams as soon as possible. It's not hard to hear that this young lady's attitude towards Wu Wei changed a lot before and after knowing Wu Wei's situation. When Wu Wei heard this, he subconsciously opened his mouth to say something, but in the end it turned into "thank you." "No, you've been busy for a few days, rest well." After Lu Xiaoyu finished speaking, she hung up the phone. Wu Wei is here. He wasn't happy because he was promised a team. On the one hand, after going through the incident with the 8911 team, he doesn't like forming a team very much. On the other hand, he also knows that it is quite difficult for a low-level rune summoner like him to form a team. It is estimated that this matter will be over. So, Wu Wei didn't take this matter to heart at all, he adjusted his state a little, and put his focus on his current situation. Now, the rune world has refreshed the boss outside the crack of the stone. Judging from the law of the existence of the boss in the rune world, if no one solves it, it will keep wandering outside. In other words, if I don't solve it, I can't do without the cracks in the stone. In this case, I have to think about how to deal with this big guy. But obviously, it is impossible for Wu Wei to directly force such a big guy. So, almost immediately, Wu Wei thought of that little brother in black robe. The dregs are Wu Wei's only chance. Well, let's find the little brother in black robe. Having said that, Wu Wei got up and left the dormitory. However, after Wu Wei left the dormitory, he did not go to the trading market immediately, but chose to go to the training ground, opened a small room, summoned a Huang, and asked a Huang to train a wave of killing pigs a knife. This Wu Wei was originally going to be completed in the rune world, but because of the boss, there is no way, Wu Wei can only do it in the real world. Originally, a Huang slaughtering a pig had already reached 4,788 knives, and there were only about 200 knives left. If it went well, it would be done twice. No, a Huang got his hands on it and broke the previous record by slashing 128 knives in one breath, and brought the number of knives to 4,916 knives, just 84 knives away. In the real world, it would take Wu Wei 6 hours to get a Huang to recover his strength and cut the last 84 knives. Wu Wei calculated it. A single person training room costs 1,000 per hour, and a magic talisman in 6 hours. After thinking about it, Wu Wei decided to be extravagant and ate the Ling Fu Dan he bought from Miss Hippeo 5 days ago for a Huang. There are two main effects of the so-called Ling Fu Dan. One is to supplement the aura of the rune master or summoned characters, and the other is to increase the upper limit of the aura of the rune master or summoned characters. As for the upper limit of spiritual energy, rune masters mainly rely on several methods to increase. One is to upgrade, the other is to take medicine pills, and the other is to cultivate. Among the three methods, upgrading is the easiest and most convenient, followed by taking drugs. No, a Huang took a bite of the Ling Fu Dan, and his spiritual power was replenished within a few seconds, and the upper limit of spiritual power was increased by almost 1/20. At the same time, a number appeared in front of Wu Wei's eyes again. 1/10. Wu Wei silently wrote this down, and then asked a Huang to continue training. With sufficient aura as a foundation, a Huang quickly got 84 knives. And when he made the 84th slash at a Huang's movements suddenly stopped, and his whole body trembled. At the same time, two new lines appeared in front of Wu Wei's eyes. Your source summons rune soldier achieves killing a pig 5,000 cuts, improves physical fitness, and automatically comprehends killing a pig. 5000/5000 Condition 2 is fulfilled, your source rune has reached 2 quality upgrade conditions. Can you complete the upgrade? Do you choose to upgrade? Thanks for watching, please subscribe. Although Wu Wei had a hunch early in the morning that if he achieved 5,000 kills, there would be surprises, but he didn't expect the surprises to be so big. Not only did a Huang directly comprehend the slaughter of a pig, but his physical fitness was improved, and he actually met the conditions for upgrading the quality of the original rune. What does this mean? Does this mean that if Wu Wei is willing, if he is certain now, a Huang's quality can be improved? At this moment, Wu Wei almost felt like he couldn't control his little hand to click. Fortunately, Wu Wei saw the PS in the back. Does this mean that if I let a Huang advance now, and let a Huang meet the conditions for killing pigs and the conditions of Ling Fu Dan, the quality after the advance is different? Also, if I don't care about letting a Huang advance, then the condition of killing wild boars and the condition of taking Ling Fu Dan are considered void? In this regard, although the broken golden finger did not explain it to Wu Wei, but Wu Wei felt that it should be like this. And if this is the case, then Wu Wei can't let a Huang advance. After all, Wu Wei felt that he could complete the other two conditions within a short period of time. Although it is better to have a bird in hand than 1,000 birds in the forest, but if you can hold 1,000 birds firmly, naturally 1,000 birds will be better. Therefore, Wu Wei quickly made a decision. Well, go to the Black Robe Brother. Inside the Yuehua College Exchange Market. It's still that corner, or the front of that stall. Wu Wei looked at the man in black robe and grinned. The man in black robe seemed to recognize Wu Wei, so he raised a sign. What's the matter with you? This is some of the gains I've gotten from fighting monsters in the rune world these days. I'll give you some as a reward for the dregs you gave me. Wu Wei said, took out 2 transparent colored light spots from the Book of Runes and handed them over. a wild boar rib, and a wild boar trotter. The man in Hippeo obviously did not expect this. He was a little panicked and at a loss. He took back the sign and held a pen, not knowing what to write. He was so anxious that he was about to speak. If you want to be my friend, you can't refuse me. The man in black robe was stunned. She didn't consider Wu Wei a friend. In this case, is it possible to refuse? And just when this young lady was thinking about this issue seriously, Wu Wei took out the book of runes and burned a rune to hand it to the young lady. Also, I'll give you this too. What is this? The man in black robe raised the sign once rarely. This is the process of using your dregs to pour down the rune monsters. Your dregs are very useful. Even an elite rune monster can't handle it under level 10. The main effect is to make monsters diarrhea, limbs weak, and their minds should be dizzy. It's a good poison, you can put the dregs on the shelves later. There should be no problem in buying 5 to 20 magic charms for a bottle of that size you gave me before. Wu Wei never thought about taking the things of this black-robed man for nothing. For this reason, he specially used the Book of Runes to record the process of dispensing medicine, which can be used as a video advertisement when the black-robed man sells medicine. This is something that the man in black robe did not expect. She was at a loss with the rune, and after a while, she wrote the words "Thank you, you are a good person" on the sign. Wu Wei touched his nose. He felt that this little brother's vocabulary was a bit lacking, especially the words of praise. He was a good person back and forth. Those who knew it knew that he was complimenting people, but those who didn't knew he thought he was rejecting people. What? That feels weird. But it doesn't matter, what matters is what happens next. Do you have any other dregs? See Wu Wei's poor dagger. Miss Hippeo thought for a while and took out 2 bags. Wu Wei swept his eyes, and the attributes of the 2 bags appeared in front of Wu Wei. Item: strange dregs quality, high quality explanation. I don't know what kind of medicinal dregs this is, left over from the refining of medicinal herbs. Although it doesn't look good, it has strong side effects when eating it. It will cause diarrhea for more than a few hours, and it will be accompanied by a strong headache, but it can be hardened. Refined spiritual power and body. Item: horrible dregs quality, high quality explanation. You can directly regard it as a poison. If you eat it, even if you are above level 15, if the poison cannot resist, you will die in pain. Looking at these 2 bags of medicinal dregs, Wu Wei's eyes on the little brother Hippeoran were completely different. Wu Wei has seen the properties of the medicinal pills on this little brother's stand. How can I say it? It can only be said that it is very average, even worse than the medicines on other stalls. Unexpectedly, this little brother's serious medicine pill is not very good, but this medicine residue is very good. It's all high-quality things, which made Wu Wei to feel a little embarrassed to start. After pondering for a while, Wu Wei spoke. Then what? Can I take a little bit to test it? You can rest assured that the process will be recorded for you. If the effect is good, maybe they will become your best products. Give you all. Wu Wei knew that little brother Hippeo was easy to deceive, but he didn't expect that he was so easy to deceive, and actually gave him both bags of medicinal residues. This Wu Wei was so excited that he almost jumped over to pick up the little brother and take a bite. But considering that the other party is a man, Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com, he resisted this urge, but he couldn't help but told the little brother that he would get 10 spirit talisman pills on credit. When these words were spoken, Wu Wei himself felt that he was going too far. Not to mention the dregs of other people's medicines, but also to find others for credit, still 10 pieces per credit. No, as soon as he said these words, the black-cropped man fell silent. Seeing this, Wu Wei felt that he should be hanging. After all, the black-cropped brother is a little more simple, but he is not stupid, so he won't give him an elixir on credit for a stranger who has actually met twice. But what Wu Wei didn't expect was that the black-cropped brother was silent for a while, and actually took out 2 bottles of spirit talisman pills and handed them over. You really gave it to me on credit. At this moment, Wu Wei couldn't believe it. Aren't you afraid that I won't give it back to you? The little brother shook his head, then took out the pen and wrote on the sign. You are a good person, you won't lie to me. How to say Wu Wei's mood at this moment? It is very complicated. Thank you, how many symbols do you have? Let's add a friend, and when I have money, I will give it back to you as soon as possible. In schools, God symbols are basically connected to students' student ID numbers and real name information. It should be a good thing for the creditor to be able to grasp the other party's information, but the little brother went silent for a while, and seemed to be a little resistant, and it took a while to write his own symbol on the sign. Wu Wei added it up for the first time, and saw the head of the black-cropped man's rune, a dark night sky, and his nickname was Strive to become an excellent pharmacist. Well, he is indeed a good comrade with lofty aspirations. Shortly after adding the little brother in black robe, Wu Wei left. He wants to hurry up to make money and pay back the money owed to the black robe.